this thing is just wrong. This is one of those things that doesn't even have a right to exist. Yet here it is, this monster of sorts. And how dare they? They went too far.
Hello, and welcome to James the Lesser Express Lane, where we get you in and out as fast as possible with August the Duck responds to DSP responding to him. Let's watch.
I don't need anyone else to exist. I am going to ask for contributions, and you're going to like it, because I'm successful, and you're not. July the cock. I'm successful.
Well, guys, one more time. Today, we are once again talking about one of my favorite guys on the internet, and at least today, I actually kind of have an excuse as to why I'm coming back on my, second promise at this point, that my last video on him would, be my last. That's right, people. We are once again talking about the world's most grateful streamer, Darkside Phil. Now, I really wasn't planning on making this video. I got tagged in some clips on Twitter of DSP responding to me, calling me out, whatever you want to call it, and I was out and about, so I didn't sit down and watch them, and I sort of just forgot about it for a while. But then later that night, I was like, you know what? Let's take a look. Let's see what he has to say. And shit, he sucked me back in, guys. He got me. I'll admit it. So here we are. Now, if you're unaware of the context, about a week ago, I made a video on DSP. If you don't know who DSP is, I would just go watch that video. But I made a video on him because he was mocking a donator for donating an amount that Phil deemed just to not be enough. And I titled that video, "The World's Greediest Streamer Got Worse." And, well, I think Phil saw it because he went on a little rant, or really kind of a big rant on stream, where he mentions somebody named July the Cuck. Don't know.
Gee, I wonder who that could be. Can't imagine.
Who that guy is. Sounds pretty cool, though. And, well, he does what Phil is best known for. He lies to himself, he lies to his audience, he circumnavigates every piece of criticism that's ever thrown his way, and he just sits there and he copes. He copes and copes and copes and copes until, honestly, I think he starts to believe himself. And I could just let him do that. Not like I can make him stop. He's always going to do that. My God, man, the shit he said was just so unbelievably wrong that I've just got to go back one more time, guys. Now, I'm going to do my best to be as cordial and constructive as I possibly can be throughout this video, because Phil seems to have a habit of downplaying.
Why? Fuck him.
Literally anything that is ever said about him that has the slightest negative connotation as hate, as people being mean to him, not understanding him, content farming him. So I'm going to try and be as constructive as I can be. I usually am pretty constructive on this channel, so it's not going to be like a challenge, but it is Phil, so, we'll see. Let's not waste any more time, though. Let's take a look at this rant. Please subscribe. Okay, so real quick, I'm not going to show it because it's like 20 minutes, but what seems to have led Phil to talking about me was he poses this, thought experiment where he says, okay, I have 3 paths in front of me, for his future as a content creator. He says the first one is where he becomes a corporate shill, he sells out, he takes sponsorships, he has to completely change his content style. He can never be honest again, because I guess Phil thinks if you take a Raid Shadow Legends advertisement or something, they're gonna monitor your stream for the rest of your life and never let you talk bad about a game or be honest or be edgy or anything like that. Obviously, that's just an excuse to not go down that path. Phil doesn't really think that, but he says he doesn't want to take sponsorships because he doesn't want to sell out, because it's somehow going to completely change every single thing about his content if he takes an occasional sponsorship. Then he says path 2 is fully embracing the drama, going on podcast, addressing all the hate, attacking people who attack him, attacking people who didn't attack him, really diving into the drama-heavy side of the internet. Now, while he's saying all this, his chat is like, yeah, those paths sound great. Sound a lot better than what you're doing right now. Of course, he just completely ignores that because he's not actually considering these paths. He's just trying to excuse his behavior, because he says his third path is basically just continuing to do what he does. Listening to the constructive criticism of his audience, which he is actively ignoring as he's talking about this, doesn't address a single thing anybody says about these paths, and guess what? Continue doing what he's doing. He won't take sponsorships, and he won't dive into the drama, so what does he have to do to make money? Oh, he has to beg his audience. Then he says, is that really that big of a deal? Is it really that bad to ask his audience for money? He says, is what I'm doing that bad? He doesn't mention them by name, but he brings up, I'm pretty sure, Logan Paul and his crypto scam, then Mr. Beast and making the Lunchleys and the Feastable bars, and then Boogie for faking cancer, as a comparison, I guess, to say, look at what these guys did. It's a lot worse than begging your audience for money, which yeah, obviously it is. And that's how we got to this.
We've got actual creators on the internet making documentaries about me saying I'm the greediest creator. Are you
Greediest? I mean, that's hard to judge, but I'd go with greediest.
you fucking kidding me? Have you ever watched anyone else, you pathetic fucking schlub? You are so lame because you take the low-hanging fruit, the easy target that everyone's already targeted, to make a worthless fucking video that rehashes the same shit and just ignores the fact that there are people 47 times worse than me who actively hurt people on a fucking daily basis.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
Your Honor, yes, I murdered a bunch of little kids, but someone's murdered more little kids in the past. I only killed 7 of them. I'm sure there's someone out there who's murdered 8. So, I mean, can you really punish me for murdering 7 little kids? When there's obviously people out there that have murdered more? Please, DSP, use the argument in court. I want you to look the judge down to... Look to the judge's eyes. Look down to his very soul and tell him, Your Honor, you can't punish me for what I did because there's other people out there worse. Anyways, before I go, can you tip me at least $500? God, I hope they'd give a contempt in court.
Criticism. So it seems like what Phil is implying here is because he's not the worst human on planet Earth, that he should never be criticized. He falls into the mindset that a lot of losers like this tend to, where they think that as long as they're not like the worst person walking the planet, criticism against them is not valid. That as long as there's somebody worse to criticize, then none of it should be directed towards them. Now, if I need to explain to you why that mindset is not a good one, you're a lost cause. I'm not even going to waste my time. But I find it funny that DSP brought up crypto scams, Mr. Beast and the Lunchleys, and Boogie, because those are three topics I have talked about endlessly. Boogie, not
Almost as if DSP watches August the Duck, even though he doesn't care about detractors. He doesn't watch detractors. He's too busy to be watching detractors. And yet he knew the three biggest topics that August the Duck was covering. I wonder how.
not so much as the other two, but influencers and content creators who resort to crypto scams and Mr. Beast. I have criticized those two things far, far, far more frequently than I've criticized Phil, and I've gone into depth on those. The few videos I've made on Phil have been like half jokes. I don't think what he's doing matters that much in the grand scheme of things compared to like a big content creator pulling a crypto scam, or Mr. Beast hiring criminals or exploiting people. DSP pathetically begging for money is not nearly as big of a deal as those two things, but I still think Phil is ridiculously greedy. This might be a hard to swallow pill, Phil, but just because you're not the only greedy content creator doesn't mean you're not one. Also, since this is obviously what you're hung up on, I'll address it. Me calling you the world's greediest streamer while those people exist. First of all, Mr. Beast isn't a streamer. Most of the crypto scam people I've talked about aren't streamers. And, well, I think you're greedier than Boogie, so there's that. Obviously, you're probably not the world's greediest person, Phil, but I think of known content creators like people who actually have somewhat of a name on the internet. I don't know, man, you're up there. Not only have I never seen another streamer beg like you do, I've never seen somebody be so fucking ungrateful when their begging works. People on chat and people on Twitter were talking about how you made like $1,200 in a single stream this week, and you're still complaining about not hitting goals? Yeah, dude, you're pretty fucking greedy.
Exactly. Gets $1,200. It was like $1,346 during the marathon, about just over 1,000 after cuts and fees. And yet the very next day, guys, I didn't beg at all the whole day. I only got like $150 total between two streams, guys.
To get ahead. But somehow I'm the greediest person on the internet. Get fucked, you disingenuous fucking loser who has no idea how to actually make a documentary.
Phil, where the fuck are you getting the word documentary? I made like a 10-minute long video on you where I talked about a 3-minute clip. I didn't make a documentary on you. Why can you never just address the point? Like, are you even aware that you're doing this? You attack things or you address things that don't actually exist, that like can't be argued, instead of addressing what I actually said about you. What are you talking about, man?
What a fucking loser schlub to pull my name out of the hat and say I'm the greedy guy. You're nuts.
I pulled your name out of the hat, Phil, because you are a greedy guy.
Yes, he is.
Objectively, there's no two ways about it. Objectively, you are a greedy individual. You have genuinely convinced yourself as a 42-year-old man that it is the responsibility of your fans and your viewers to fund your life. You can go get a different job, Phil. Nobody's stopping you. You have convinced yourself that you are entitled to the life of a man who sits on the internet all day and demands money from strangers. I don't know how you've done it, but you have. You are greedy. Can you imagine if somebody walked up to you on the street and said, hey, I want to get your opinion on something. I'm thinking about quitting my day job. I'm going to go to Best Buy, buy a camera, and then I'm going to go onto the internet and hold my content, hold my gameplay hostage. I'm going to say, look guys, if we don't hit the goals for today, we're not playing games, we're not doing streams. People would look at you like you lost your fucking mind. And that's
Because DSP has lost his fucking mind.
what you do for a living, Phil. You are not entitled to these people's money, but you have tricked yourself into thinking you are. Maybe that's why you don't think you're greedy, because you're living a fantasy. The more I watch you, the more I begin to think that you actually believe that somehow you are entitled for this lifestyle to continue in perpetuity, that it's genuinely somehow the responsibility of other people to pay your bills. Sitting here with a straight face as a grown man saying how you only have 3 paths in life, and they're all on the internet streaming. Dude, you have hundreds of paths, and they all start on Indeed.com.
I've tried to do things different. Why I feel like my path can work, but it requires people to act.
DSP will never hold another job. I know the ongoing joke is DSP get a job, but he will never hold one. First of all, you gotta go through an interview. How much you guys pay me to do this interview? Well, sir, you don't get paid for an interview. What? I'm taking time out of my day. I gotta spend gas to drive over here. You're not gonna give me any money for this interview? What the fuck? Bullshit! Yeah! And storms out. That's how every interview is gonna go. Also, imagine that resume. Let's say this person just graduated from college. They have very little work experience, but they have some. And again, they just graduated from college. Let's see. Guy graduated from college 20 plus years ago. Hasn't worked a job in 15 years. Who do we hire?
Actually have some independent thought, to not listen to fucking morons who are constantly just crapping on stuff, using it for personal gain. Phil's the worst guy on the internet. Dude, there is no one who can legitimately look at me and my content and say that I am the worst guy on the internet, period. It's just not possible.
Wow, really brave, Phil. I'm proud of you. Yeah, you're probably not the worst guy on the internet. I will not argue with you on that one. Glad we could find some common ground. You are not the worst person on the entirety of the internet. Doesn't mean you're a good one, though. Again, you go to extremes, you go to things that can't be argued to try and defend yourself, instead of addressing the things that people actually say about you.
To anyone who has,
It's all he has. Because if you actually try to address the actual issues, you want to be able to.
is a disingenuous liar who has no content and relies on trying to make fun of memes on the internet to make content. I want you to think about that. I sit here and I grind every day to put out content for you, whether it's gaming news, a podcast, just hanging out and having a conversation, playing a game, doing other things outside the box, whatever it is. It's definitely content, all right? I don't just make my content talking about other people's content. I make original content. That's way harder.
No. Sitting there playing Path of Exile 2, talking to you guys while I'm playing, not that hard. It's a great way to relax. It's an amazing way to relax. And it's a great way to play. It's like, I'm going to play Path of Exile 2 anyways. May as well share with people. Have a good time. Talk with them. For DSP, though, that's impossible. Now, want to watch the rest of the video? I have the link down below. As always, like, subscribe, comment down below, and have one hell of a day.